The lighting and look dev phase. So for my look dev, I'm really trying to be as simple as possible. I like to start with a gray shader. This way I can start neutrally to look dev. I do pipe all of my textures in my shader. At this stage I want to control especially my reflections, my bump settings, as well as my displacement maps. I'm also piping a gamma node for the diffuse, so I can see the red color from the diffuse. I want to keep this process as simple as this. I do not wish to make any complex shading or layering, especially for that project. I knew that I just wanted something simple and basic, and paint over it. For example, if I need a dirt pass, instead of layering and rendering again, that asset with the dirt pass, I could just slap a dirt texture in Photoshop and paint it on later once I get to the paint overs. I do also have a chrome ball, so I can see my environment in it. I can see where the light is coming from and all the reflection, that's everything that's around it. You don't have to use a chrome ball, but we do use it in production, and it does actually help to see, and kind of know where you are in the scene, and where the lights are and how it behaves as well. I really try to look at my assets from different angles to see how the material reacts, and I will also use different lighting conditions. I want to make sure that my assets work in all the lighting conditions, at least more or less, because what might work for a shot or for a light condition might not work for another one. And that is because I did not tune the shader correctly for another type of lighting condition. For example, if it's broad daylight and I tune my shader, and I feel like, oh, this is pretty much what I like, I would light it under a night condition, and I would add for example, an artificial light, and I will actually realize that, well, it doesn't really react the way I want. Some part of the spec, I don't really like it, so I'll have to change all that. So once I have several conditions that I think it works, then I can start putting in my shot. So what I'm really focusing on is how much my material is reflecting in the environment, how shiny are my surface, and how much volume it has on the surface. I'm talking about the bump map and the displacement map. It does happen that I go back to Mari from time to time. Sometimes the maps needs to be corrected. So if I see that that specular map, or even the diffuse, that does not give me what I want, then I would do not hesitate to go back into the texture and modify it until I get the result that I actually do want. Because having a flat texture and a lit one, it does affect your look dev. It does look different, and it will also be affecting the next steps. So I want to make sure I get this right from the look dev. It is a bit of back and forth between texturing and look dev. They kind of go hand in hand. Although I'm happy with the look dev, it does not mean that I will not stop tweaking. Once it is in the shot, even with the final lighting, I will still tweak the shader a little bit, because sometimes you can also cheat it. If I want to have a bit more bumps or specular in the shadows, then I can tweak that. Your look dev will look different in the lighting with your lighting condition, for your final shot. So what we have now is a good base, but it will still need to be tweaked later on once you get to the final shot to get the desired result. keep the same process for pretty much all the assets. Just 3 maps: diffuse, specular, and bumps. But for this particular asset, I did use a displacement map. So I had to work this asset a bit more to make sure to get all that volume from that flat surface that I have here. So when I light the scene, when I'm actually ready to light it, and I estimate that the look dev process is done, and have something that works, I do like to start with the all gray shaded scene. This way I can actually work the lighting faster, and there's no texture that are piped yet, so it takes less time for the computer to calculate the lighting. It also shows me clearly where the light comes from. So it's easier for me to basically design the light. I would start with the light everything, like the whole scene. This dome will actually be toned down a bit later. I will also place planes to work the lighting composition better. I'm basically designing the lighting. This method is a good start, but as soon as you will pipe your shaders and your texture and everything in the lighting, it will all look different. It will look a bit different. It will react differently because you do now have more information in your shader. You have also a texture that is piped to it, so it will not be as bright as the gray shader, obviously. So that might need a bit more work as well. But this is pretty much how far as I would go for this project particularly, since I knew that this is good enough for me to render. It's a strong and a good base for me to start the paint over. In the next chapter, we're gonna see how I'm breaking up all these passes that I set up previously, and basically prepare the renders for the paint overs in Nuke.